that shirt is sold by a company named called Fight the New Drug, which is against porn addiction.
I can go into that.
So
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Bro.
Crazy God moment. Keep going, bro. Crazy God moment.
So
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crooked Sticks, the community of conversation. I am your host, Gabriel Brown. Guys, welcome back to the Crooked Sticks podcast. I hope you're doing well. Today we have part 3 of Uphill Battles. Go ahead and tune in. This is a good one. And I will see y'all in the show.
Oh man. Yeah, I'll talk about this. This is something. This is going to be a big step for me, but this is, for me, this is an important thing that I've been working on. Gabe, I don't know. Have you ever noticed? I have a shirt that is a gray shirt with white text on it. I know TJ and I have talked about it. It says it's got a heart on it, and then it's got like a little mouse clicker, and it's clicking on the heart, and it says "Love can't be clicked." I don't. Have you ever seen me wear that shirt?
That sounds familiar.
Okay,
I don't think I have.
That sounds so specific now that I can't.
Right. No,
I have the image.
Yeah.
I have the image.
Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite shirts right now. And not to to get away from that materialistic thing. That shirt is sold by a company named called Fight the New Drug, which is against porn addiction.
I can go into that.
So
sorry.
You're good. You're good. Bro.
Crazy God moment. Keep going, bro. Crazy God moment.
So my thing. One of my biggest kind of uphill battles. Really mentally, and not that fighting your weight or whatever isn't an uphill battle. Yeah. But to be like, just to kind of get that out there is like, I was so bad with porn until freshman year of college. Yeah. I got exposed to it when I was in middle school. Yep. 12 years old. And it just got so bad. Yeah. I went so far as to call myself an addict. And that word gave me so much more like, nah, you really, that was the kick in the butt moment for me. And my turnaround since freshman year, the first step I took was telling my dad, opening up to my dad saying, I'm an addict. This is an issue I've been dealing with for 12, since I was 12. So I was 18. No, I was 19 at the time. So 7 years? Yeah. The weight off my shoulder. Poof. Ooh. And I'm not a crier. There have been instances in my life where like I've opened up and it's just been like, I've never cried. And I've never felt the embrace of my parents more than that moment when we stepped out of the car and he just hugged me right there in the parking lot. And for me, my journey through that and since then to kind of come to terms with it, it's become a powerful thing for me to be open, to be honest, to talk about it. That's helped me gain some power over it. And I've even had people come and talk to me like, hey, you said this when we were in a group setting because we were all just like talking and we were talking about stuff that's going on in our lives. Like, I deal with this so much. And what you said was so powerful and so impactful for me. Yeah. Like that courage to even just be open about it was so like just amazing to me that you could do that. And I was like, I would love to talk to you about this. And I've started talking to people about this, but,
which is so hard. That's the one thing people don't want to talk about.
No, it is so taboo, bro.
I need to say this real quick. So
don't tell me this is the second thing on your list.
It's not.
Oh, dang. Okay. That would have been funny.
It was hidden in there, but I had forgotten about it. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. So this comes from the Bible. And I want you to guess what book it comes from. Therefore, confess your sins to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person has great power as it is working.
Proverbs or Psalms? No? Okay.
James.
That's coincidental. Nice.
No, it comes from the book of James, chapter 5. And you said something really powerful. You said, I told my parents and it took a weight off my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole verse right here is talking about how the healing process doesn't start until you can admit and give that up.
Yep.
You know, don't let it have control over you. Let it have like a stronghold on you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it is. It's a stronghold because, I mean, dang, bruh. Like, nah, I feel you. I was 12 once too, and I was 18 once too. And let me tell you, a lot of people don't want to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't think anyone
you
wants
brought
to
that
talk
up as
about
well.
it.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
No, it's
so essential.
Like you said, taboo word.
Oh
no,
my
it's.
Lord.
I think if one conversation is the most avoided with at least young men, I can't attest to women, but at least with young men, like once they hit the middle school on phase,
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest problem that has been normalized and allowed.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be.
They'll joke about it, but they won't have a serious
They won't have a
discussion
serious
about
conversation.
like,
They
hey,
won't.
like, y'all, I actually have a problem with, you know what I'm saying?
But
Right.
yeah.
You
No,
get
you
laughed
can't-
at.
Yeah.
You get laughed
will
at.
be, you and I experienced like other people getting laughed at because of it.
Yeah.
I was sitting in class freshman year. I was in choir and I was sitting in between two seniors, or maybe a junior and a senior, or two juniors, whatever. And I was sitting there like we were middle of rehearsal, and they just pulled out their phone, went on Pornhub, and were watching porn we were in the back
That's
row
crazy.
in a class, like 100 guys, like in this classroom. Cause Nate and I went to an all guys high school. Like that was an environment that like I was sitting in between them. Cause like you got partnered up with like, as a freshman, you got partnered with a junior or senior. And as a sophomore, you got a senior, to kind of like mentor you. And these were my mentors doing this. And I'm like, nah, like this is crazy. This is like, what is this? So like I asked to get switched with somebody. I wasn't going to sit there and do it. But we talked a lot about this, like, you know, in Catholic school, they do family life thing where they talk about, it's kind of like having the birds and the bees talk, but like through a religious lens. But in high school, we had in religion class, we learned about PIDE. I don't know if you've ever heard it as an acronym, but it stands for porn-induced erectile dysfunction.
Oh yeah.
And you probably just didn't know the acronym itself, but like, you know, it's so bad. Not even just that people are being exposed to it at a younger and younger age, but guys especially are starting to have like, they physically can't, like when they get old enough to be in a relationship and to have that level of intimacy with their partner, like they can't because
They don't have that stimulation.
right.
of
Your brain is so wired to respond to
The
a
instant
video,
gratification.
right?
Yeah.
And that's where it goes. The shirt is so good because love should not be something that you can click on a phone.
Okay.
That's why that's why I love that shirt. And like when people have asked me like, oh, that's a cool shirt. And I have that open, honest conversation with them. And you can see them like physically get a little uncomfortable and like sit back in their chair. Like they're trying to get distance away from this conversation. And I'm like, no, but like that's the issue because we do live in a world of instant gratification where everything and the smartphone is one of the greatest things of our generation, really, because it came out when we were kids, right? You know, the fact that we have the world in our pocket and we have access to everything we could ever want. But love is not something you can find in your back pocket. You cannot. It is not. That is not real love. That is not real. You know, affection or beauty or whatever you want to
and to desire it too, and just like constantly.
Oh, it's awful.
You're like, I don't know how to explain it true, but like you're basically chasing after something that will love you incompletely. And not only like incompletely, but I mean like the epitome of like incompleteness. Like it will not fill you.
Nope.
It will not. Like there's not even like a little bit, like it just won't. It will constantly take. And it's interesting because the whole idea of sex, at least in a biblical perspective, is giving.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ironic because here you are engaging in something that's only been designed to take from you,
Mm-hmm.
the thing that which you can give the most to.
And I know there's a joke of, you know, when watching porn and, you know, afterwards, you know, obviously there's an action you're committing while doing it. And like afterwards you feel awful about it. And yet for some reason you'll continue to do it. I'm not going to go into the term. It's vulgar, but it's like, you know, it's bad. You feel bad while doing it. You know, like everything about it, like your mind is saying like, this isn't good. And yet for some reason you go back every single time just because it has that hook on you. And I'd say it's even worse. You know how love can't be clicked. Same way. It just ruins your perspective of relationships. It ruins your perspective of women. I saw, or, you know, I was same thing. I got exposed to it in middle school, I think 7th, 8th grade. Cause my friend's like, oh, look at this. This is funny. I didn't know what it was. And then therefore I go home. I'm like, what did I just see? You know, I type up what I thought the words was. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, and there goes 7 years of you not turning it off. And it's so crazy because I never saw women as any form of, you know, like object. I was like, oh, that's Sarah. That's my friend, you know, yada, yada, yada. And all of a sudden until I can like find, I'm completely off of it now and completely proud about it. It was about halfway through freshman year of college. I'm sitting there like, no way. Like I was like, I was just sitting there after one day and I was just like, this is so depressing. Like everything else in my life is going good. Why am I letting this one crutch me? So I haven't gone anywhere close to it. I've also purposely like shared with other people. So like if if anything were to get like the, I guess the feeling back in the mind, I have people to go to, which is so hard to find nowadays. And like, thank God, you know, obviously we know David Kleinschuster, like thank God for him because I can always confide in him without having to worry about like, he's going to go like, haha, that's stupid. Or, you know, make fun of me. But it was so crazy because for like so long of my life, probably very much so all of high school. Honestly, I'm very thankful that at that time I had been overweight. Because if I had women around me who were interested in me, I would have likely pursued them in sexual relationships. But it was so bad because I could only see women as an object. I couldn't appreciate them for who they were. I saw them and I was like, oh, you know, she's attractive because I would like to have sex with her. That was the only reason I could find people or like I could only value women. And I was like, that's terrible. Those are some people who should be my closest friends, the nicest people I can meet, like, so angels. And that's what I see. Like, here's this beautiful person who's like funny, sweet, caring, you know, cares about me, wants to help me, you know, always there for me. And that's what I saw. Like I phased through everything important, and it's terrible because I'd even contribute to, that's why relationships, like in college, you know, how people are like, oh, you know, I don't think I'm open for a relationship. Let's just be, you know, friends with benefits. It's everyone's minds are so destroyed. They think like, I need to have that now. And they can't just hold off. They can't take their brain off of it. They can't just be like, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful person who I'd really like to get closer to know. It's like, no, we're skipping that. Like, sorry. It's just so crazy to me. Because now we're out of the world, I can be like, oh my gosh, you know, like these people are so cool. They're my closest friends. They have so much to offer. And that filter is gone now. So you don't have to see everything through that lens of like, what can I, and it's really interesting too, because when you're, again, also happened to me, 12 years old. You're looking at it. I remember, and see, the thing is too, I mean, I think my parents knew. I mean, like parents. They ain't say nothing. But they
anyway,
eyes in the back of the head.
Mom and dad, all I can say is glory to God. Don't ask me no questions. So I can remember, and I feel like I might want to do a separate episode on this, but I can remember scrolling and constantly looking for something new
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's a really different mindset shift, because what happened is like, you're now looking at it from the perspective of, what can I get from this video?
Mhm.
Oh, that's not enough. I'm going to need more. Or I'm going to need something different. Or I'm going to need this, or I'm going to need that.
It gets worse and worse and worse and worse until you're at this dark path of like, why? Like, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
I was a happy kid a week ago. Why on earth am I looking at this stuff? It's ridiculous. Have you ever heard the quote that 95% of men watch porn, the other 5% are liars?
Yep.
I think bad is funny, but it's so true. Like, no one's gonna talk about it. No one's gonna talk about it because they just are like, oh, it's acceptable. They watch it when you're young, and
it's not just guys people. Too. Like,
I know it's not.
But
right.
I can't speak for them.
I can't speak for me. I mean, just not in my line of sight, But I think it's something important to talk about, because what you have is now you have our generation and the generation coming up next, who will be growing on that. They will be like, their childhood will be on that, right? And so that's going to change the dynamic of relationships, romantic relationships, friendships. I mean, marriages, like, it goes on. It will change the experiences, even the way that people like view themselves and like view like their worth of themselves, and then also like in relation to other people. It's going to change all that for decades, because I mean, so think about it, right? How many people actually break out of that too soon before it's too late? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many people stay trapped or stay fixated on this, or maybe they stay in a comfortable spot where they don't really see anything wrong, but it's like the allegory in the cave. It's like, you don't know what's out here. And if someone were to take you out there, it would shatter your entire world. Yeah,
my dad is a part of a men's group. Both my parents are like elders in our church, respectively. Yeah. And I remember my dad being in a men's group, and I had kind of crashed 1 or 2 services in high school because I had nothing going on. So I was like, Dad, can I come with? Or, I would have coincidentally have already been at church, and then he was there on that Wednesday night. So I was like, okay, I have nothing to do. I'm going to rotate over and go say hi to Dad. But like, I remember there was 1 or 2 conversations of like grown men, they have families, they're in their 40s, their 50s, and they still have the problem. It won't go. And it's like, these men should have completely, fulfilling lives. They have jobs, there's wives, there's kids, there's the entire extended family. Yeah. And yet they can't stop. Yeah. And now they're 50. And I couldn't imagine. I've had that for, 30 years trying to break it. I'm glad it was the point where I was just like, there's no way I can do this. Hey, and it
was long enough.
Exactly.
It was well overdue.
But like, if those guys, like, they didn't even have phones back then, and it's still a problem, and they're in their 40s, their 50s. I mean, I had my first phone when I was 7th or 8th grade. So it was almost right as I got my phone is when it became a problem. Yeah. And now I see kids with iPads in their face at birth. You know what I mean? Like, I had a DS, I had a Wii. Yeah, you can't find that stuff on there.
You can't get a Wi-Fi on it. Well,
you calm down. The later version,
probably.
But 3DSs, bro.
Yeah. At least you didn't have to worry about that, right? Facts, but now I'm worried, like, it's gonna get younger and younger and younger to the point where it just destroys everyone. Because if you're 50, 60 and you had that problem and you didn't even have access to the internet, and now you do, oh my gosh, and it's so shareable too. I can, in 3 seconds, be like, I'm gonna send this to someone, and that's another person taken. It's such a bear. This could be a whole nother episode.
It could be. Honestly, I want to make it one, because I want to talk about like go more in depth with specific experiences. But also, I think having even like, I think more guys in the room. I know David and TJ couldn't be here.
Oh yeah. The bigger this combo could be, the better. Because this one's big.
It's big, and I mean, I think it's just, you guys probably can agree with this, but knowing what I know now about what I was doing then makes a big difference. Yeah. And I treat things very differently. I mean, I could go on for hours, and I'm not even really saying that much, but it's for someone who, it's kind of like the word you use, right? Like addiction. It's like, it's not like your standard like heroin. You know what I'm saying? It's not like your standard this or that, you know, but it does something to your brain, and it does something to your body, and it does something to your psyche, and it does something to your spirit. And every single time you fall to that, it's just pulling you deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think there are people out there who need to hear people our age talk about things like that.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, they could be dealing with that, and then they're like, how do I get free from this? How do I get set free from this?
And it's also like, if you see an ad from like some 60-year-old man telling you like porn is bad, like, okay, obviously, that's
gonna be scary,
but you're
bro.
not gonna follow that. No, it's weird. And the problem is our generation won't talk about it. I feel though, if there was like you see these 20, like people between their 20s, 30s, like, I don't know, respectable adults being like, hey man, like I had the problem too. Get rid of it now. Like it's a lot more relatable. You know, it's because it's so profound.
I wanted to kind of jump on something you just said and kind of what you were talking about, and something that has also helped me come to terms with, again, this is my hill. I am walking, or I am, you know, it's there's kind of a little sidebar real quick. You know, there's a quote where it's like, if you can run, but if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you don't have arms or legs, use your teeth if you have to, but keep going. Don't stop.
Forward,
Keep moving forward. But you talked about knowing what you know now makes a drastic difference on what happened back then. You can't. That's a slippery slope. Yeah, because you're like, man, I was so stupid. You could kind of get in that kind of like loop of, oh man, like really beating up on yourself. Yeah, you made the best decision you could for yourself back then. What you were talking about, you had the curiosity, the innocence of a kid who was just trying to figure things out. You know, we've never stopped losing our curiosity. We've just kind of gotten to a point in our lives, like as you get older, you know, where we've become complacent with what we know. And people, you talked about, like, you put down the video game, started reading. People don't know that there's, or care to learn that there's more out there. But at that point in time, we were still developing and trying to make sense of the world going on around us. And you took an action because of that. You should not fault your innocence, your curiosity, the fact that you were a kid who didn't know any better, because you were just doing what you thought was the right thing to do, trying to find and gain that understanding. And that was something that I was like, wow, that, like, you know, I'm no longer blaming 12-year-old me for doing that. I now just have to realize, okay, I'm 21. You know, obviously I've started, you know, doing whatever I can to get up this hill, but like, I can't keep blaming then because I didn't know what I know now.
You can't blame the old you for what the new you's trying to do.
Right.
Yeah. That's good. And that goes back to that identity thing you're talking about earlier. It's like, people are so quick to write you off just because of what they think the mold should look like, or what they think, honestly, what they think the mold should look like. You're somehow like discardable, or no, like that's not what we're looking for, you know? That is the whole point of Crooked Sticks, right? Is the people that are written off too early about things, and then they see that, no, there's definitely more for me here, you know? You can like feel it, like, no, God is a lot more. Is a lot more. And I mean, we really just came full circle with that. I don't really have anything else to say, but I think I just wanted to have you guys on here so we can hash some of those things out. And then we can definitely we're gonna need to get that other episode going.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to get that.
Right?
We're gonna need to.
I'd be there.
Because it's gonna be a
Me
part.
too.
This is gonna be a 2-part episode right here,
Perfect.
and then knowing that after we just finish up this conversation right now, we're definitely gonna need to get another episode going, and that'll probably be like an hour and a half, 2 hour conversation as well.
Yeah.
So that's 2 more parts.
Yep.
That's good. I'm glad y'all came.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been telling you.
Yeah,
I've been telling
You've
you.
been waiting, and
We were scared you
And
weren't going to show
God-
up.
Yeah, no. There was no way I was missing this.
yeah,
There was no way I wasn't gonna not show up for this.
God's been. He's been pointing to me to do something with you with the show too, and I hadn't really known what it was yet. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna try and figure that out. Let me just put you on there and figure everything else out. And you just confirmed some things. I'm not gonna hold you. Some of the stuff that we were talking about really confirmed some stuff. Some stuff that I talked about with you, I didn't even tell you who was gonna be on the show.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah, you didn't tell me who was gonna. You said somebody else, but you didn't say who it was.
I was
so.
on purpose.
Yeah.
Not complaining. It was pretty
Neither
fun.
am I.
Yeah.
Neither am I.
Y'all, well done, and thank y'all for coming.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having
I
us. Dude.
appreciate that.
Appreciate it, Gabe.
And that brings us to the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It was such a pleasure having those guys on the show. And I wanted to read you guys this verse just as some encouragement before we leave for today. And so I'll be reading from Hebrews chapter 12, starting at verse 4. And the title of this is God Disciplines His Children. And it reads, in your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. And have you completely forgotten this word of encouragement that addresses you as a father addresses his son? It says, my son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you. Because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? They disciplined us for a little while as they thought best, but God disciplines us for good, in order that we may share in his holiness. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful later on. However, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. Make level paths for your feet, so that the lame may not be disabled, but rather healed. Honestly, just this whole month, I found this verse very affirming, and it gave me a lot of peace after just going through my own struggles and just my own mental, emotional, and spiritual battles. And so I hope this verse encourages you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next one.